Waiver of existing rights is when, say, I have a right. Let's take the example of the 500 rupees that we were discussing earlier. Creditor giving 500 rupees to debtor, and debtor promising in return that he would repay the amount on a certain date. So let's suppose you ask for 500 from me, I lent those 500 rupees to you, I'm the creditor, you're the debtor, and the deal is, the exchange of consideration is that I have given you money, that's my consideration, and you have promised to repay that money to me, let's say at the end of the month, 30th of April. That's your consideration. Okay, promise on your part, money on my part. 30th of April comes, I come to you and I ask for the return of the money. Now, obviously, you're contractually bound to return the money to me. If you don't return the money to me, I'll take it to the court and I can get that money off you. Of course, 500 is just an example, could be any amount. But let's suppose instead of you repaying the amount to me, you request me to not take the money. You tell me that for some reason, you would not want to repay the amount, and if I was okay with it, if I could just forego the amount, if I could just waive my right to receive that amount. I don't have to, but let's suppose for some reason I agree. I said, yeah, it's okay. It's just 500 rupees after all, and so therefore, yeah, you can keep the money. I don't want it. So on 30th of April, we kind of had another arrangement. There was an original contract, which happened whenever it happened, which is when I lent you the money and you promised that you would repay. So that's one transaction. That's a contract. And then something happens on 30th of April when instead of repaying the money to me, you decide not to, and I'm okay with that. I promise to you that, okay, I won't ask for this money. The question for this technical area to be considered by all of you is, can I then change my mind later on, perhaps on 1st of May or 10th of May or whatever, 1st of June? Can I change my mind and come back to you and say that, look, I want those 500 after all? And if I were to do it, are you bound in law to give me the 500? Can I take you to the court if you don't give me 500, even after 30th of April, even after whatever had happened on 30th of April? The answer to the question is yes, I can. I can change my mind. Why? Well, because the answer to that why lies in carefully dissecting what happened on 30th of April. Let us consider what happened on 30th of April. You were making a request to me to waive my right to receive 500 rupees. I agree. On my part, that waiver of my existing right is the consideration. I'm extending a favor to you. I didn't have to. I agreed. I'm extending a favor to you. That extension of a favor is consideration on my part. That's what I'm bringing to the table. That's what I'm doing for you. The question that the court would ask is, did you reciprocate? Did you give something in return? And if you think about it, on 30th of April, you gave nothing. You did not even give the 500 that you were supposed to give. You did not give any other consideration. A smile, perhaps, but we've already seen smile is not good enough. And so therefore, you did not give anything to me on 30th of April. And since you did not give anything to me on 30th of April, there is no reciprocity. And when there is no reciprocity, we know there is no contract. So whatever happened on 30th of April was no contract. Because it wasn't a contract, I'm not bound by what happened on 30th of April, which means I'm not bound by my own waiver of existing right. I have a right to come back on 1st of May or on 10th of May or on 1st of June and demand those 500 again, quite simply because you did not reciprocate. What could you have done? If you ever find me in that position where I am willing to let go of a right, what should you do? You should also give something in return. Something new, something that you were not already bound to give to me. Had you offered something in return. Perhaps you had a pen, for example, and you had told me that, okay, look, if you don't ask for the 500, I'm willing to give this pen to you. And I looked at the pen and I thought it was a good pen. I wanted it. We could have a deal. That would have been a deal. 30th of April, that would have been a deal because you were giving me something new, which was pen, which we had never agreed on before. And I, on my part, would have been letting go of my right to receive 500. That's fine. And if you're thinking, what if the pen was not worth 500? What if it was just worth 10 rupees? That's not an issue. We've already seen in an earlier lecture that consideration need not be adequate. Need not be adequate. It just needs to be sufficient. So remember the house that was being sold, which was worth 10 crore, but was being sold for 5 crore, 20 crore. Law doesn't have a problem with that. So a pen that is worth 10 rupees, if somebody is willing to have a deal involving that pen and in return waiving off 500 rupees, that's fine with law, because something is being exchanged and how much is not law's concern. So that's what you could have done. You could have offered something that you had. Another possibility could be that, let's suppose instead of coming to you on 30th of April, let's suppose I came to you on 20th of April and I asked you that, look, I know that you owe me 500 rupees and I also know that you're supposed to pay me those 500 rupees on 30th of April. Today is just 20th of April. You still have 10 more days to pay me the amount, but look, I need the money today. I owe somebody 200 rupees. And so, therefore, if you could please give me back my 500 rupees today, I would be able to repay the 200 rupees. Of course, your reaction in non-likelihood would be that, no, I don't care. I was supposed to pay this amount to you on 30th of April and that's when I'll make the payment. Today is 20th. I don't owe you a single penny today. What if at that point in time, I make an offer to you and I say, okay, fine, look, if you pay me 200 today, I won't ask for the remaining 300. So all of this is happening on 20th of April. So I say to you that if you give me 200 today so that I'm able to pay off my own creditor, I won't ask for the remaining 300. You think about this deal and you realize it's not a bad deal. I mean, instead of having to pay 500, you're only being asked to pay 200. And yeah, I mean, you have to pay it 10 days before, but on the other hand, you're also saving 300 rupees. So you agree. You pay me 200 rupees on 20th of April and you're happy that you've saved yourself 300 rupees. Question here is, what if I come back on 30th of April and ask for the remaining 300? Can I do that or not? In the earlier example, we saw that I can waive off the amount and come back and ask for that money again. But can I do that here? The answer again is we need to dissect what happened on 20th of April and we need to see if you and I, the two parties to a contract, if both of us brought something to the table, if both of us did something for the other. If we did, 20th of April was a contract and we both would be bound by it and I wouldn't be allowed to come back and ask for 300. But if either of us failed to reciprocate, then 20th of April was not a contract and I would be completely free to come back and ask for the 300 again. So let's see if 20th of April there was a reciprocity or not. Now, on my part, I was waiving my right to receive the remaining 300. So that was what I was doing for you. That was basically my consideration. But were you doing something for me also? The answer is yes. You were paying me 10 days in advance. You were paying me 10 days before the due date. This is different from the earlier example where everything was happening on 30th itself. So by not paying me on 30th, you were really not doing anything for me. There was no favor that you were extending to me. But by paying on 20th, you are extending a favor to me. You are making that payment 10 days before you are supposed to or required to. And that's your favor. So both of us are giving favors to each other on 20th, which means this is a contract. And because this is a contract, I would not now be allowed to come back and ask for the remaining 300. we could we could change scenarios even further. We could think of cases where, for example, instead of me asking you for 200, what if I came to you on 30th only and I told you that, look, I have this creditor, I owe him 200 rupees, but for some reason I'm just busy with something else, I can't make the payment myself. Can you please pay him the money that you owed to me? Of course, it is very possible that you might say, look, I don't know about your creditor, I'm not interested in paying him. My deal was with you, I'll just make the payment directly to you, you can just go and make the payment to your own creditor. Let us suppose I insist, I request, I tell you that, look, I just really don't have time and you owe me money anyway. I owe him 200. I will have absolutely no way of going to him and giving him the money. Can you please just do me a favor? Can you go and give him the 200? And it's okay. I'll forego the remaining 300. You don't have to worry about the remaining 300, but just please do this favor to me. Just deal with my creditor. Just give him that money, 200. You didn't have to, but again, you thought about it, and because you were saving 300 again, you decided to deal directly with my creditor and to pay him off and essentially get that liability of mine taken care of. So you do that. And all of this is happening on 30th of April. So there is no other favor that you're doing except that you're dealing with my creditor directly and you are basically taking care of that one issue for me. Is that a contract? Yes, it's a contract. It's a contract because I'm doing a favor to you, you're doing a favor to me. My favor again was that I was telling you that it's okay, if you just give 200 to my creditor, I'll forego the remaining 300 rupees. That letting go of the 300, that's my favor to you. And your favor is obvious, you have taken upon yourself to deal with my creditor. You're paying him 200 on my behalf. So the bottom line is, if you do nothing in response to my waiver means nothing also. I can always come back and demand for my money. But if you're doing something for me, either giving me a pen, for instance, making an early payment, for instance, dealing with my creditor, for instance, these are all examples where you are reciprocating, and so therefore there is a contract, and I would be bound by that contract. The only other instance we had to see in relation to waiver of existing rights was sometimes you don't really do anything for me, and so therefore there should not have been a contract. But the circumstances are such that the law considers it would be very unfair for me to go back on my word, to go back on my waiver and ask for 300 again. A case in point in England was Central London Properties versus Hartrees House. In that case basically is from the 1940s. The Second World War was going on. There was this property in central London which was very expensive property. It was on rent, but the tenants were about to leave the property because they could not afford the rent. Because of the war, the economic conditions were pretty dismal, and so therefore the tenants were not able to pay the rent, and so they were about to leave, which alarmed the landlord, and landlord felt that he would lose his income, and so therefore he made a promise to the tenant that if the tenant stayed on, he would reduce their rent by half. Hearing this, the tenants stayed on. The war continued for 5 years. The tenants kept on paying the reduced amount, half of the original rent. When the war ended, the landlord demanded full payment. Not just full payment for the years ahead, but he also demanded the payment during the war years. He asked the tenants to pay even for that time period. This was not possible for the tenants. The matter went to the court. The court said that normally, if the second party does not reciprocate, there is no contract. But here, even though the tenants really had not reciprocated, when the landlord reduced the rent, the tenants had not reciprocated. It would be very unjust to allow the landlord now to demand the full rent for those 5 years, because that rent cannot be paid by the tenants anymore. This principle is called promissory estoppel. The landlord was stopped from demanding for the money. So that is another aspect that we need to consider on waiver.